Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex and I would absolutely love it if you would help to support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Helps to get the videos out there. It inspires me to keep creating and it just lets me know you like the content. Also, a huge shout out to the 5 of you that dislike every single video I put out there. I know it's the same 5 people because every single one of my videos has like exactly 5 dislikes. So hi to you guys that do that shit on purpose. First and foremost, I think it's good to know that that still gives the videos engagement. So if you really dislike my content, don't watch it. Because likes, dislikes, it's all weighed the same in engagement. It's all pushing my videos out there. So if you don't like my content, don't watch it. Like, I've never actually disliked a video in my life, and I find it crazy that 5 of you just dislike every single thing I put out there. So, hello! Just wanted to give a great hello. I do know you guys are here. This is the attention you want. Anyway, we are going to talk about Love is Blind, episode 10, and I think I'm gonna have some opinions that you guys are gonna like think I wouldn't have. But upon watching this, I actually realized there are certain people that I want to defend that I was not defending beforehand. Because I'm starting to see some things where I'm like, ooh, sorry, my hair is like really throwing me off. It's like really bothering me. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's get into it. And we are going to start off with Hannah and Nick. So Hannah and Nick, they are taking engagement pictures.
Mark, here's a test. You don't read, Nick. You don't need one. Get it framed. Little gold frame.
No, these.
Hannah's wearing heels this day, and Nick keeps saying, wow, you are taller than me today. You're taller than me today. Wow, I can't believe you're taller than me. Hannah's like, I thought you were secure. You know, I thought it didn't bother you. But they take their engagement pictures. It's clear that there's still little things with both of them. I think they both have their shared set of insecurities. Marissa and Ramses, we meet up with them post that big chat that they had the other day about the birth control. You know, they're tense. There's clearly tension between them.
The PMS and like just the fact that I'm like going back and forth from Baltimore. I feel like shit today. I don't want it to be something where you're like not satisfied.
Marissa is very concerned because she feels like that conversation they had really got him in his head, that, you know, before they felt more secure, but now it's not clear what exactly is going on. He just says, look, I thought in the pods we discussed having kids within 3 to 5 years, but in that conversation it seemed very clear that you were open to having them sooner, and I just don't really, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now she says, look, I've been sick, you know, I've had everything going on. I have a vitamin D deficiency. I think she said she has her period, so she's just not feeling good. So she keeps kind of bringing up how he decided to bring all of this up now and kind of like get on her today when she hasn't been feeling good for the past few days. But she does say that she feels like shit about everything and she doesn't want it to be a situation where he doesn't feel satisfied sexually. Now, he keeps saying that he wants to make sure that long-term they have that intimacy, that they need to have the intimacy that, you know, he needs in a relationship, and he's just really concerned that he's going to get it on that level. They then talk about the fact that I guess this week he's been trying to like hug her and be on her, and she says like she's been saying no. So she asks like, have you felt rejected when like I might have said no when you were trying to be affectionate? And he says, yeah, it does really hurt his feelings. It's kind of a blow to his ego. But she just explains again that sometimes she needs some space. He keeps reassuring her that he does want to marry her and that he sees them together. But, you know, he still sees that future. Here's my take on this. I said this before. Ramses seems like a highly emotionally needy person. And I feel like while that does work for some people, I feel like it does not work for other people. I'm going to keep it a stack with you. I am like Marissa, where I feel like, especially if I'm not feeling that well, or I'm just kind of in a mood, or even if like we've been mad touchy-feely all day, I'm the kind of person where I'm like, can I please have like 2 seconds of space? Like, it's not anything against you. It's not because I don't like you. I just think that there are some people that need constant emotional affirmation, while other people are a lot more level with things. And so I do feel like Marissa, is sort of similar to me in that way, where it's like, I'm sick all week. I've been sick all week. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to cuddle with you every single second of every day. And I think Ramses talks a lot in this relationship, because in the conversations we see, I feel like we see him talk a lot about what he needs, what's going to make it work for him. But I don't necessarily feel like he seems very receptive to what she needs or the kind of person that she is as well. And I do feel like a lot of these like emotionally needy people are like that, where they talk a lot about what they need, what affirms them, what makes them feel good. But it's like, when do you take into account what your partner needs? So I don't know. The balance there seemed a little off to me. I did understand where Marissa was coming from. And then, of course, like, you guys just had a very intense conversation. You just had a conversation where you essentially told her, hey, I can't have sex with a rubber because it's too uncomfortable. So get on birth control or this isn't going to work, which again, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. So I get it. And I do feel like Ramses is a bit selfish in that way, like emotionally selfish almost. I told y'all I'd have opinions. You didn't think I'd have. Anyway, let's keep going. So Tim and Alex, they are meeting his parents. I really liked his parents. They seem very, very nice.
Have you seen that in him at all? You have? Okay. He definitely gets that trait from me. Don't you feel like that? Don't you feel like I get like that?
Yes.
His mom is beautiful. They are a beautiful couple. His mom actually says she likes the idea of the experiment. She likes the pods. They discussed that, I guess Tim is both him and his dad's name, so they call him Drake. I missed if Drake was his middle name, but whatever, they call him Drake. Now, they talk about how Alex needs her space sometimes, how it's okay if they need space within the relationship. His mom, she's definitely an older Black mom, and I feel like older Black moms are very preachy and love to give advice in a loving way, but they love to give advice. So his mom is just talking about, look, to make a marriage successful, here's what you do, these are the things you should do, here's how you should communicate, blah, 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 but in a loving way. Now, his parents do discuss how they are very serious about marriage. They take it seriously. Again, they've been together for like 40 years. So it means a lot. Like, don't come to us if this isn't real. And Alex agrees. She talks about how for her family, her stepdad and her dad and her stepmom have been together for 25 years, so she understands that. It also means a lot to her. Overall, the conversation seemingly goes quite well. Alex stays inside, I guess, and his parents and Tim, they go out and talk, and they do like her. They really like her. His dad, he don't really say much. It's mom that's definitely doing all the talking. But overall, it seemingly goes well. Seemingly. Ashley and Tyler. So they're still coming off the conversation about Tyler revealing that he has 3 kids via sperm donation.
I had a very close friend. Her and her wife wanted to have a baby, and they couldn't afford sperm donor. I thought that was God telling me, help someone else. And
now, Ashley says, look, when I say something's our superpower, that means that I think we're really good at it. I really thought we had great communication. So for this to happen, it's kind of a shocker. She reassures him, I don't hate you, but I am very disappointed. And he's like, I want to do anything I can to ensure that you feel comfortable in this situation. What do you need? Her first request is to know more about the dynamic with the kids. He says basically, look, I had a close friend and her wife who they wanted to have a kid and they could not afford a sperm donor. So I did this because I wanted to do something good. It felt really nice to help them out. She asks him, so do they know what you look like? He's like, I don't think so. The way this man is able to lie with such ease. I'll put some pictures on the screen, y'all. The way this man is able to lie with such ease that these kids don't know what he looks like. And there is pictures out there plastered with them wearing matching Christmas pajamas, best dad shirt, everything. The way this man is able to lie with such ease, he is a sociopath. A pure sociopath. Lord. Okay. Anyway, so Garrett and Taylor, they do this calligraphy activity with those letters from her grandparents that she read in the pods. Garrett does admit that, you know, regardless of if his mom comes or not, he will just be happy if they get married. And she's like, wait, your mom doesn't want to come? Which is also weird to me because it seemed like on screen his mom, I mean, she ain't stopped crying, but it seemed like she was pretty okay with everything. But Garrett admits that his mom is struggling, so it's unclear if she's gonna come to the wedding or not. I was like, wow, we haven't really seen any of that. He does reassure her, look, like eventually she will embrace you as her daughter, she will be happy, she'll come around, but this whole process for her is just difficult to cope with. So Hannah and Nick, they do an obstacle course, and after the obstacle course, they are sitting down, you know, they're talking, and Hannah says, look, your ex are starting to become cute to me.
Oh, you know what I mean? I just want to be treated as an equal.
I think you get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal. I think sometimes I'm hurting you to say mean things.
Like, you know, they're starting to become endearing. You know, she proceeds to talk about how it took him so much to do the obstacle course. He really struggled, and she did it perfectly. And if there's one thing about Hannah, she gonna let you know how she's perfect, she's mature, she's ready, she's this, she's that, and she's gonna drag that man. If there's one thing that Hannah is gonna do, she's gonna drag that man. So anyway, she asks him if he's ready to get married in 2 weeks, and he says, yeah. He says a lot of the conversations that they've had have helped him to realize how much he needs to mature, and, you know, he's trying to make those changes. So she says, look, I need these things from you, okay? I really need you to be an active listener and an active partner. I don't want to always have to initiate deep conversations. I don't want to have to initiate sex. He talks about how he's felt belittled by her and how she basically will imply that he's dumb. You know, he's like, when we were in Mexico and I asked you where the lights were, or I asked you where the garbage disposal is, you told me I should know how to do this already. And that kind of stuff makes me feel like you think I'm one level below you. Now, she says, look, at 28 years old, I feel like you should know how to do things, and it does frustrate me. He asked her, like, do you feel like you're ready to get married? And she's like, yeah, I think I'm mature and ready. Now, I'm going to give a take. Hear me out here. Before you type your hate comments, just hear me out, okay? I don't like Hannah's approach. I think Hannah is very rude. I think she's very disrespectful. I think the way she talks to people is awful. We know her family feels that way. We see how she talks to Nick. However, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would never want to be with a man where I had to hold your hand and tell you what to do every single day. As someone who's been in an experience like that with a guy where it's like, I had to tell him to do everything. Turn off the lights, take out the trash, clean up the cups, you know, help me with the cat's litter box. Hey, can you feed the cat? Like, you know, can you vacuum the floor? Can you put your laundry that's sitting on the floor away? That stuff becomes incredibly irritating. We have seen on this show that Nick seems to lack a lot of basic life skill. I'm just keeping it honest. The man didn't even know how to boil water. And I feel like, sure, when you're doing the trial marriage stuff, it's fine, it's okay, it makes sense. But when you're living with someone and you have to tell them every single little thing all the time, that is very, very, very annoying. It is very irritating. It is very irritating to feel like you have to baby a grown adult, you know? And I do think that the maturity level with Nick we see is not there. He lives with his mom. It's very clear his mom does everything for him. Like, just by what we've seen on the show. And I can understand how if you're someone like Hannah, like, I don't know, in my case, I am somebody who's lived on my own since I was 18. So it's like when I get in relationships with people who have lived with their mom for a long time and their mom did everything for them, and then I'm now coming in and being your mother and having to tell you what to do, that's really annoying. That's really frustrating. You know, I think Hannah's methods of communication are terrible. I feel like she needs to be approaching these conversations from a different route. But I can definitely see how it can start to get very, very irritating if, like, you know, as she's saying, if he's not an active listener. I'm sorry, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when I try to say something to somebody and then 2 hours later, you do the thing that I asked you not to do because you weren't listening. That stuff drives me nuts. So it's like, I sort of have definitely started to understand where Hannah's coming from with the frustrations. I think the way she's approaching it is terrible. I think her communication skills, terrible. But I do get that frustration where it feels like, you know, maybe you're just in your head. You don't even have to think of it. Like when when maybe you've lived on your own for a while, you don't have to think about the fact that the dishes in the sink shouldn't sit there for 4 days. You just clean them, right? And it's kind of frustrating when you have somebody who doesn't do that stuff. So I got where Hannah was coming from. I do. I have to be honest. I get where she's coming from. I do feel like it seems like Nick is not ready to get married yet. And I'm not saying Hannah is, because I think Hannah has her own set of insecurities, communication issues. But I can definitely see that it just feels like Nick is not on a maturity level to marry a woman, to be a husband, unless you're trying to look for a husband where you're his mom. And I just feel like that's not it. So anyway, Marissa and Ramses, they talk about wedding planning. Marissa says that she spoke to the wedding planner while he was at work. So they do decide that they want to honor Ramses' dad in the wedding. They basically want to have a picture of him in the entrance where everybody signs the guest book. Now, he does want to do a first dance with his mom. Marissa says she doesn't really want to do one with hers. It's not really something she's into. She also says, look, I don't even think I want an aisle at the wedding. And Ramses is like, so what, are we just gonna like project down from from heaven to the altar? But they do talk a little bit more about how, when Marissa is on her period, she really wants that space. And Ramses does, seemingly say he understands. He gets that maybe she just needs to be left alone for a week or less touchy-feely. But, she asks him multiple times, like, do you have doubts about us getting married? Do you see us getting married? Can you see us there? And even though he says yes, you can see the look on his face where it's kind of like, nah. So anyway, Alex and Tim, we meet them at the end of yet another fight.
I would be to them as a vessel, as someone to lean on. If it really meant that to you, I would have stayed up.
I had been trying to
sleep for an hour.
Whatever it
From
was,
5
we
to
did not
6.
text much yesterday. You
I
weren't
talk-
very responsive.
No, hold on, because I don't appreciate that.
Would you
because
like me?
He's like, are you ready to talk now? And she's like trying to eat her food. And he's like, are you ready to talk now? And she's like, I mean, I'll be ready to talk when like, when I can sit down and have, he's like, is that now then? So basically we find out that Tim is upset because as soon as the cameras cut during the family visit, she went to sleep. Like Alex took a nap. And he's upset because he claims that his parents drove 10 hours and it's extremely disrespectful that she took a 1-hour nap after the cameras cut, even though they had been filming for hours. Now, she says from her end, look, I didn't know it meant that much to you to like be awake for hours and hours and hours and hours. Like we all talked, I thought it would be fine. If I had known, I would have stayed awake. Now, he claims that he was trying to communicate with her all day. She cuts him off when he's talking and says they only talked at the end of the day. He says, look, like, I was trying to speak with you all day. Your mood seemed off. And once again, she tries to cut him off and be like, and he's like, am I going to get to tell my side of the story or not? And I will say that in this conversation, Alex was really not letting him talk, but we didn't see it. So for all we know, Tim could have been saying a lot of BS. We don't really know. So he once again says that he felt that she was ignoring him all day. When he did try to talk to her, she gave him a mood, like she was not feeling good. But then finally, when it was on her time, he claims, she was ready to finally talk on the phone, but on her time. Okay, Tim. Now, she said, look, I was just trying to show that I like talking on the phone. Like, I like doing that as well as texting. I wasn't trying to dictate anything. I wasn't trying to, like, control what happens the whole day. I just simply wanted to let you know, like, hey, I like talking on the phone. She says that she tried to call and talk multiple times, and when he had said, I don't want to talk right now. I'm not in a mood. I don't want to talk on the phone. So she says, you know, look, we both have to admit this is extremely different from the pods. You're not really the person that I talk to. And I'm not saying it's just your fault. It's also my fault too. He says, look, I'm gonna be honest, after reflecting on everything, what I want in a wife right now, my answer for you is no. She says, wait, did you really make up your mind on that? Like, are you sure that's what you feel? Because I have some words for you about this. So is that what you made your mind up on? And he's like, yeah, that's my choice. She says, look, you met my dad yesterday. You asked for his hand in marriage. You did all of this. This was very serious. And now you're ready to throw it away because I took a nap after the family visit. He's like, okay, well, I tried to do some of the things that you wanted to do. In that little ass bed, I tried to roll over and cuddle with you, and because that's what you wanted. And she's like, so you're mad, and you didn't even notice. And she's like, I was sleeping. She's like, you're mad because I didn't notice? He's like, no, it's not just that, obviously. He's like, I also cooked the entire meal for your family, and then you left the dishes in the sink. And it's one of those things where, like, if I have to ask you to clean the dishes, then I'm not gonna even, what's the point? I'm not gonna do that. If I have to communicate that to you, then we're not right for each other. And he leaves. Another one. Hear me out. I'm not buying Tim. I'm not buying Tim whatsoever. The first thing about this entire thing, we've only seen the aftermath of these conversations, and Tim seems ready to rumble. He seems ready to go with a long list of things that Alex does wrong. But never once in these conversations have I heard Tim take accountability. Even in this specific conversation, Alex said, hey, look, I know I'm different than the pods. I'm not just putting that on you, but this is not what it used to be. It's me too, not just you. We have never once heard Tim take accountability for anything. Second of all, this man seems to lack boundaries. Alex, this is the second conversation we're having where Alex is flat out like, look, I just wanted to take a nap because I needed some space. Clearly, Alex is an introvert. Like, I don't know. Tim is really throwing me. Tim is blowing me. Because it's like, clearly the girl is an introvert. She clearly seems to need space after social situations. And I am the same way, so I totally understand where she's coming from. This is the second conversation in a row where we've seen Alex say, hey, I'm tired. Hey, I just wanted space. And this man is spiraling out of control. He has a lot of nerve to talk about, oh, you only wanted to talk on the phone on your terms. But it seems like everything is on his terms. It seems like every little thing is on Tim's terms. If Alex wants 2 seconds of space, this man is saying, you don't even care about me. You don't even care about the relationship. How dare you disrespect my parents like that? Huh? Sir, what are you talking about? We already know with these reality shows, they be filming for 10, 12 hours, those scenes that we be watching. 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, maybe even more sometimes. And this man is upset because she wanted to take a 1-hour nap when his parents were here. I would presume that his parents didn't drive 10 hours there and back on the same day. I would assume that his parents were probably there for a couple of days in a hotel nearby or whatever. And you mean to tell me That you're gonna say that she's disrespectful because she wanted to take a nap? This man seems to lack serious boundaries surrounding the fact that, hey, maybe my wife wants an hour of space. Maybe my wife wants 30 minutes of space. Maybe my wife wants to be able to take a shower for an hour. Number 3, let's address this on your terms thing. I'm sorry, Tim, but she doesn't have to want to talk to you if she doesn't want to talk. I don't know in what world it's her dictating stuff because she simply said, hey, I'm not in the best mood right now. Let's talk later. Let's talk when I feel better. Sir, do you think that you control everything? Because if you're making the argument that you guys talked on her terms, then we can make the same argument that you wanted her to talk in that moment on your terms and she was in a bad mood, so she said no. I've never met, this man seems to be so pressed and flustered by the fact that sometimes she wants space. Sometimes she doesn't want to talk to him. And it's to the point where you feel like she's not the right partner for you because she wants space? I've defended Tim in previous videos, and I've given Alex a lot of flack. But the more I watch Alex, the more I realize Alex seems like an introvert. And I feel like Tim is having a really tough time and he's really struggling with the fact that she is an introvert who just doesn't want to talk all the time. And as somebody who's gone through that with people, where it's like they get so offended and upset because I'm a person that implements boundaries and wants space for 30 seconds, I don't know. I really feel empathy for Alex. I really feel empathy for her because this man is unhinged. He's going off his rocker. Then with the dishes thing, you're upset because she didn't wash the dishes when her family was there? You cooked and she didn't wash the dishes when her family was there? Your whole premise of this conversation was the lack of communication, but now you're upset that she wasn't a mind reader to wash the dishes. And look, I ain't gonna hold you. Alex might be messy because we saw that apartment. But it's just ask her. Just say, hey babe, can you get the dishes? You mean to tell me that is so egregiously difficult that you realize she's not the woman for you? All we see Tim talk about is what kind of guy he is, what he doesn't deal with, what he's not gonna tolerate. But never once have we even heard Tim admit where he goes wrong in these situations. And that shit, it really threw me off, y'all, because I was like, Alex deserves a lot better than him. And even though she seems to have her own set of flaws and her own set of problems, a man like this, who's gonna judge you this quickly, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. A man who thinks he's so noble and thinks he's right all the time and doesn't take any credit and accountability for anything, but he can run that mouth to tell you what you did wrong all the time? Nah, child. Okay. That's all I gotta say about Tim. All right. So after that conversation, we see everybody that's still left over, Garrett and Taylor, Nick and Hannah. We see them unboxing costumes because they're having a Gatsby themed party. Garrett and Taylor do talk about how they are leaving for San Diego tomorrow to meet Taylor's parents. Nick and Hannah, they're also talking about the fact that Katie will be at the party.
I think some people are gonna want closure.
Really?
I mean, yeah. Is
there anyone you want closure with, Nick?
It might be Katie. We matched up.
And Nick is like, oh, I mean, I might want to have a conversation with Katie. We did match, we were each other's number one, so it might be nice. And of course, Hannah got a little look on her face, what you mean? So as they're walking into the party, we see Taylor and Garrett kind of in the middle of some kind of drama.
100%.
Yes, especially someone who has been cheated on is putting an incredible amount of faith in you and believing and trusting you completely. You're gonna be married in a week.
And I'm 100% here.
We basically learned that Garrett got some kind of message from an ex and he liked the message, and Taylor is wondering why he didn't just shut it down. She's telling him, look, if you get messages from people in your past, shut it down. There's no need to harp on it. There's no need to talk about it. Just shut it down. What is going on? very clearly distraught. Taylor's clearly very upset right now. Garrett is the kind of person where you could clearly tell he doesn't know how to handle confrontation. And I think that's a bad thing, for the record. I think it's a really bad thing to not be able to handle confrontation, especially when you do things wrong. You can't really just shut down like that. So anyway, they get into the party. So Alex is talking with the girls and she's telling them, hey, look, like, I'm not mad that he ended it. I'm just upset that he asked for my father's hand in marriage literally 2 days ago, and now he's ending this. Ashley is also like, I hope they're not talking about my shit. And they're like, wait. She's like, wait, y'all don't know. Tyler is a sperm donor. He has 3 kids through sperm donation. Monica does show up and she lets us know that she actually talked to Steven on the phone for 2 hours. Everything's good. They don't hate each other, but they're not going to be together. There's no way. She does say they're in a good place. He's a good person who effed up. But she does not want to date him or be with him. Bodan is also there. Now,
First time. Because I did have a connection with him in the pods. Hearing his voice feels very comfortable and familiar.
Marissa does say it is interesting to see him for the first time because, she always had put her own imaginary face to the voice. Katie shows up, and as soon as Katie shows up, Hannah's like, oh my God, you want to meet Nick? Nick, this is Katie. Hannah's a fucking... Now, Katie does say, oh my God, Nick's better looking in person. He's really good looking. And Hannah clearly feels some type of way. Once again, she got a face on. So Garrett and Taylor, they're talking with Tyler and Ashley. Garrett is basically telling them the story about how his ex texted him and he responded. And Taylor's like, what? Wait a minute. You told me all you did was like the message. He claims he responded saying that he was engaged and that they can't talk anymore. Taylor's like, but wait, all you said to me was that you liked the message. You never told me that you responded. So what do you mean you responded? Tyler and Ashley, originally, they tried to walk away. And Taylor's like, no, actually, I need my space. And Taylor and Ashley, they go into the bathroom and she starts crying, Taylor. And she's like, he's supposed to meet my parents tomorrow. And like, what even is this? So meanwhile, Bodan, Marissa, and Ramses, they're having a little conversation. Marissa says she did not expect Bodan to look like that. But she tells us in the confessional she is glad she chose Ramses. Remember Marissa told us that she's someone that typically goes off looks? Anyway, so girls, there's a girls chat going on, and Hannah and Ashley, they are discussing how Hannah is really overcritical of Nick because she's overcritical of herself. Ashley is talking about how Hannah has tried, hey, you tried to broaden Nick's horizons. I even saw in Mexico, you really tried to get him out there to do different things that he hasn't done yet. She does go into how sexually she feels that Nick is used to doing what gets him off, but he's never really cared about the woman that he's actually having sex with. Now, she says she tried to communicate what she wants, what she needs, but she still feels like it's not happening. She calls him very childish with sex, like he's like an 18-year-old, and she said that he even gets grossed out by eating the cat, okay? He don't eat cat because it's gross to him. She also says penetration, if you will, is not that great either, but she just really doesn't know how to approach it because she doesn't want to hurt his ego. And I think obviously for women, this is a very common scenario where you have a sexual partner and they don't really take the time to get to know your body or get to know your needs. And it can be really difficult. And I think that even approaching that conversation, I think sometimes when you try to lay it on lightly, they still don't really hear it. Again, another situation where I feel like Hannah is a person who knows what approach she actually took in saying it. Knowing Hannah, she probably said something passive-aggressive and expected that Nick was supposed to understand. But I do definitely relate and understand the frustration of telling a partner, this is what I like, this is what works for me, and it doesn't really change. I oftentimes think that women are not necessarily looked at in the bedroom as You know what I mean? Like, oftentimes it's looked at as secondary. And so I got where Hannah was coming from once again. And it just goes to show again, like, maybe she and Nick are not on that level. Maybe that connection is just not really there. But again, maybe it's something to sit down and have a conversation about. But I do get it, because I do think I got where she was coming from with the ego part, because it is hard. It's hard to bring those things up. So Hannah and Monica, they go on to talk about how Katie keeps calling Nick attractive.
She said that to me tonight too. She's like, Nick's like really attractive. I'm like, oh, and she said that he's
Should I
more
kill her?
attractive than her Instagram. Well, we could kill her, but we love her.
I did.
And Hannah's like, you're supposed to be my best friend. Like, you don't say that to me. So Nick and Katie, they do have a conversation, and, you know, Katie was like, you know, look, like, I always loved how you never cared that I was 35 and single. Like, age is just a number. You know, she admits that she dated the same type of guy for 15 years. But Nick says, look, like, I was attracted to you from day one. Like, we had each other as each other's number ones for a really long time. You know, they both say, like, you gave me goosebumps. Like, I really, really liked you. The connection seemed strong. He's like, look, I can look into your eyes and see that you are a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. He was like, I was really feeling you, but you dropped me. And she says, drumroll please, she admits that the reason that she had dropped him was because she felt that the maturity wasn't there. She also felt like he was objectifying her. He would make a lot of sexual comments, and all of those types of things just kind of made her feel like that maturity was not aligning. Look, this is what I mean. I just feel like, I think I clocked it like 2 videos ago though, where I was just like, something of Nick does not seem mature. Like, Hannah's a mean person, but there is definitely something about Nick that's giving childish, and I just feel like I would never want to be with a man like him. Like, I'm sorry, it ain't it for me. I just feel like Nick shouldn't be getting married. You know, he should be working on how to really be a man first, I think. Oh, Lord. We end off our episode, though, with Taylor and Garrett talking about the situation.
I told you how I need to be 200% for you to, like, be my family. But now I'm not 200%.
I fucked up, and I'm very, very sorry.
So Taylor feels that Garrett was lying about the message, because at the end of the day, he originally told her, all I did was like it. Then all of a sudden it's, I responded. Now, he claims he doesn't remember what he told her. Look, at first this situation could have been blown out of proportion, but then when I started watching this and Garrett was lying, I was like, hold up, is there something that we need to know? He says, look, I feel like there's not a big difference between liking a message and responding. Like, you're getting into semantics now. It's the same thing. Sir, what? I didn't like it. I didn't like how he was trying to manipulate and gaslight her and be like, there's no difference between liking and responding to a message. Come on, bro. You and I both know that's not true, Garrett. That is not true. You and I and Taylor and everybody else watching knows. You know the difference between liking a message and commenting. You know, he tries to apologize very much, but she says at this point that this is too much for her at this moment. He says, look, no matter what, whether you want to end the wedding or not end the wedding, you know, I really do care about you. And yes, I'd be devastated. Yes, I'd be hurt, but it is your choice at the end of the day. She also says, look, I need to be 200% in order to meet my parents tomorrow. So I don't know what's going to happen. And look, y'all, with this situation, I would have said, hey, it's being blown a little out of proportion, but it's the fact that he lied. It's the fact that he lied. And again, you cannot omit things because you're afraid to lose someone. I don't really know why people seem to believe it's okay to omit stuff because you're scared that you're going to lose them. Because I think that we could have all probably agreed that this was a little blown out of proportion if it had just been the original situation. But it's the fact that he started trying to manipulate her by being like, it's not the same. It's the same thing. You know, you're just, you know, getting into semantics. They didn't like that. I didn't like that. Because if they argue in the future, is that how he's going to act? Does he think he can omit things because he doesn't want to talk about it? Anyway, my camera's about to die, so we'll stop here. If you made it to this point of the video, that means you liked the video. So please help me drum up engagement by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Make sure you have the bell on so you'll know when I drop my next videos. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!